Looking back at it right now, the 2019 NBA draft is going to go down as one of the best for years to come. Bringing in players like Ja Morant, who is just an MVP candidate the past season, Zion Williamson, that while has some injury problems, was averaging 27 and 6 on 60% shooting in his second season in the NBA. Darius Garland, who became an All-Star so far. Tyler Hero, who won Sixth Man of the Year the past season. Jordan Poole, who was instrumental in the Warriors winning a championship. Guys like Keldon Johnson, Kevin Porter Jr., Grant Williams, that was also instrumental on a championship level team. Just overall, a lot of players that have been very effective since they've been in the NBA. And I even talked about some of the second round guys that came in this draft. But speaking of the top picks, there's one name that you probably didn't hear me say, and that's Rj Barrett. Rj Barrett, being drafted to the New York Knicks, while he's shown a lot of potential, probably just as much potential, even more than some of these guys, probably the third most in this draft, he simply just hasn't gotten the same grace that these other guys have had. Zion and Ja, the moment they got in the league, got handed the keys to their franchise immediately. Darius Garland, as he's just shown even a drop of potential for the Cavaliers, got immediately handled the point guard roles and complete control over that offense, and he became an all-star. Tyler Hero got complete control of the second unit on the Miami Heat, became Sixth Man of the Year, and had the most shot attempts per game on that team last season, basically being their main offensive force. Guys like Jordan Poole and Grant Williams were instrumental in their championship team, and Jordan Poole, put in the same situation as Tyler Hero, produced to an amazing level this past season. You have guys like Kevin Porter Jr. that has the ball in their hands so much on Houston. Keldon Johnson, that's about to have the ball in his hands a lot with DeJounte Murray now being on the Atlanta Hawks. But RJ Barrett simply has never gotten that grace. New York Knicks have had this problem where they've continuously tried to compete when they just don't have the roster to do it. And I understand being the fourth seed 2 years ago, and enjoying that type of success, you want to put in a little bit more care and a little bit more trust in Julius Randle. But I think they made the mistakes of not handing the keys over to RJ Barrett sooner than they did later. But going to this next season, I think that is a problem that will be rectified right now with the amount of potential that RJ Barrett has shown just last year alone. And I think it's very hard to ignore for the New York Knicks, and they're going to have to finally give this man the keys to this franchise. Averaging 20 points per game last season while being one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA, while his efficiency took a hit, that came a lot with overall this entire team not having the chemistry to do a lot. And RJ Barrett just simply, being thrusted in a more offensive heavy load, and he showed some inconsistencies, which you get from any young player, but this probably would have been gone years ago if you gave him the keys earlier. But again, in a season where he showed all the flashes of what he could be, not only with being a defender and a two-way player on this team, but the offensive potential is absolutely insane. A 46-point performance against Miami, I hate him for that. In February, host of 30 and 25 point games the entire year. RJ Barrett just fit into his role and truly showed and blossomed into the player that we see right now, and has so much more room to grow. And I think this coming up season is the season that he definitely takes that leap. But before we get started, I'd like to talk about today's sponsors, being Underdog Fantasy. Now, Underdog Fantasy is the best place to play fantasy drafts and sports bet as of right now. They have their best ball tournament going on right now with a cash prize of about $10 million in total. And best part is, you draft your team. There's no waivers, no in-season trades, no in-season management. They just give you the best squad every single week. You don't have to move around your players. And the high score at the end of the year wins. And right now, if you use code ALPHAB, they match up to $100 of your first deposit. And that's about 4 entries in the best ball tournament. That's only about $25. But they have multiple other drafts that range from $3 all the way to $100. So you can get in at every level. But they also have their Pick'em, which is the best place to sports bet, right? As of right now, it's as simple as any other app where you just pick 5 players and you go over and under in their stats. And at the end of the night, you can win up to 20 times your money. So with that being said, use code FLB to match up to $100 of your first deposit. And thank you to Underdog Sports for sponsoring this video. Overall, RJ Barrett's season was a complete success for him personally. While the New York Knicks didn't see a lot of great team success, overall the starting 5 on that team never truly gelled, and RJ Barrett took the best leap out of all of them, and he has the most upside for the rest of his career. He took the most statistical jumps in his points, he developed a really good two-man game in Mitchell Robinson, and overall his IQ, overall body strength, and becoming a better finisher at the rim all blossomed in many ways. Now, while that didn't translate to scoring outside of the paint because his percentages dipped across the board from there, you can also put that up to the increased shot attempts and sometimes the shot quality not being that great, considering that he didn't get a lot of easy look. He had to create a lot of them for himself. But with Jalen Brunson incoming, taking pressures off of him and the rest of the team offensively, and becoming another player that can take some defensive attention away from RJ Barrett, so he can definitely get some easy looks. You can definitely see for RJ Barrett's a lot of his shots to probably become a lot easier next year, and him getting a lot more catch and shoot opportunities. And going to this season, I think you can look for him to become an overall more reliable shooter. He shot very well in catch and shoot jumpers the year before, shooting 40% from 3 overall, and this year he just really didn't have too many of those opportunities. But right now, with the way the Knicks look, you can expect RJ Barrett to probably jump to about 24 to 25 points per game next year with the amount of shot attempts he probably has, and with the expected becoming a better shooter overall. I think he has the perfect way to get better and become that guy for the New York Knicks. Having a good shooting form, he's always been a pretty strong and sturdy player. I think he has some underrated athleticism. I think he's one of the more athletic guys in the NBA, and overall, he's just a developing player that has some great basketball IQ already and has so many ways to grow. And even then, even though there's been some rumors about the New York Knicks looking to shop Julius Randle, maybe that won't happen considering that his trade value probably isn't where the New York Knicks want it to be. But even with Julius Randle staying here, I don't think that affects RJ Barrett as much as people want it to. I think RJ Barrett solidified himself as probably what should be the best player on this team, or at least the focus of this team with the amount of potential he has. And if the Knicks want a solid future, I think he's the guy that they're going to have to buy into and let him be their future and the driving ship that takes them to where they need to be. But RJ Barrett really isn't the only player the New York Knicks have to be happy about. Obi Toppin showed so much potential last year, and if he got trusted by Tibbs a little bit more, who knows where his development would be, which is a story of a lot of the young guys on this New York Knicks team. Emmanuel quickly is finally going to be able to be in that solid point guard role, maybe off the bench for this team. Cam Reddish has a host of potential that can be untapped if given just the right opportunity. I think at least he just hasn't been able to be in there. You have guys like Quentin Grimes that showed so much potential in Summer League. As of right now, showing the growth he's already made. This team just has so many ways to grow and is definitely on track to be one of the best teams for a couple years in the future. You may not be next year or the year after that, but I think giving them some time to grow, the New York Knicks are going to be able to make some solid noise in the NBA again, and their fans can stop being hurt. But going into the next year, I can expect RJ Barrett to probably make some noise and maybe make his first All-Star berth, solidify himself as one of the best, if not a top 5 two-way player in this league, and overall just finally give Knicks fans something to really hope about for the future, and a young guy that's willing to stay here and wants to be in New York. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you think RJ Barrett's going to take a leap next year? Do you think that maybe he's peaked a little bit? I don't know how you think that, but if you do, let me know. If you're a Knicks fan here, I've made I only made one video on this team talking about how I understand what the Jalen Brunson trade means. So if you want to see that video, go check it out right here. But with all that being said, this is FLB. That is my time, and I'm out. If you're still here at the intro, here are 2 videos that I think you'll definitely enjoy from me. One of them probably being the New York Knicks video I made probably a week ago. Another one, I don't know. YouTube says that's the best one specifically for you. So if you trust them, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, click on that video, watch it, see, and join the gang.